Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live programming. I'm Jack Price, I'm your host, and thank you for joining us today. Our channels are dedicated to bringing live performances and events from international artists to audiences around the globe. Well, we've got a great treat for you today. A phenomenal program, the Sibelius Violin Concerto, which has enough anecdotal information to fill volumes, and after intermission, the Tchaikovsky Fourth Symphony, the F minor, which is, I think, a great work. Not played a lot, but it's well, Winter Dreams is not played a lot. That one's played more than number one. But anyway, let's talk about some of the particulars to the concert. We're coming to you live from the University of North Texas, and this is the University of North Texas Concert Orchestra, conducted by Clay Couturiaux, and the guest soloist is a Russian violinist by the name of Dina Nesterenko, a wonderful violinist, and you're in for a real treat. The concert program is not unique in the sense that these are two traditional works, but the pairing of Sibelius with Tchaikovsky is kind of unusual. Sibelius, was a violinist. As a matter of fact, he wanted to be a concert violinist, and then he gave in to the compositional career after that. And this concerto it had a kind of strange beginning. Novacek was the soloist at the first performance, and it was kind of a bomb because he didn't realize, apparently, how difficult some of the passage work was in the concerto, so he didn't prepare. They say there was a lack of preparation that did this performance of the Sibelius concerto, violin concerto in. So he was done in by lack of preparation. And we all know what happens when you don't practice, right? The only way to concert Carnegie Hall is practice, perfect practice. Then you get to Carnegie Hall. So anyway, back to the program. Denton, Texas is the site of this concert. It's an interesting college because they say it's the biggest music school in the country. And there have been some very big names that have come out of it and that have taught there. Students, pop artists that are very, very popular now, and we'll get into that later, have graduated from the music department in Denton. As a matter of fact, I played there a couple of times, so I'm familiar with the campus. And Miss Nesterenko is an adjunct violin teacher there, and Clay Couturiaux is head of orchestral studies, and he conducts the concert orchestra, as well as conducting the Richardson Symphony in the Dallas area. He also conducts all over the world. He's conducted with the Austin Symphony, Ho Chi Minh City Symphony Orchestra in China, a number of key dates that have his bio is strewn with them, lots of interesting places that he's conducted. Ms. Nesterenko was the youngest contestant in the Tchaikovsky competition. She was a semifinalist. She was 3 times chamber player at the famous Marlborough Music Festival that Rudolf Serkin installed years and years ago with the Bush brothers of the Hungarian quartet. I forget the name of it. It was, the Hungarian quartet, something like that. My anecdotal knowledge is a little limited these days. I have a treasure chest of useless knowledge, but that's another treasure chest. We won't go into that. But anyway, Serkin started Marlborough. Now it's run by, I think, Mitsuko Ishida, And Nesterenko performed there 3 summers in a row, which I can tell you, I was there also. It's very unique that she would be invited back 3 times. She's an incredible musician. And she also attended school at the Curtis Institute when she was extremely young. I think the entrance age there is 12, and most notably studied at the Juilliard School with the Juilliard Quartet, head of the Juilliard Quartet, Robert Mann, who won the Naumburg and had a huge career as a quartet player and conductor and composer. And also she studied with members of the Emerson Quartet, which just retired apparently. So these are 2 very big quartets, and it's interesting that she studied with quartet people because her playing, you'll find, is not chamber-like. It's very soloistic, but she really can collaborate with orchestras and pianists extremely well. And the Sibelius requires a lot of collaboration. So on to the piece. You'll find this work, the Sibelius Violin Concerto, to be very much separated into parts. There's a huge violin cadenza that goes on forever, and you get the feeling for a while that there's no orchestra. It's very strangely written, and it's my favorite violin concerto because it's so gripping. It really just grabs you and never lets go. It's like grabs for the jugular vein until you just want to scream. You will really be very much transported by this concerto and the performance, I'm sure. After intermission, we will hear the Tchaikovsky Fourth Symphony, which has not such an unusual opening, Andante sostenuto, and then eventually goes into a animated movement. It's sort of this whole symphony is pretty much in the tradition of, a sonata allegro form type of thing. But of course, it's a romantic work from the Romantic era. It's not a classical work. I like to call classical music serious music, like jazz, film music, and classical music. Those 3 to me are serious. So calling this classical music is kind of a bit of a misnomer, but this is a romantic piece from the Romantic era. We won't go into what romantic is, but that's the era of Brahms, Liszt, Chopin, Schumann, composers like that. And Tchaikovsky is certainly one of the greatest. So during the intermission, we'll get into more about the school and several of the people that have taught there. Joseph Banowitz was a very brilliant pianist, and he taught there for a while. Vladimir Viardo, who won the 1973 Van Cliburn competition, first prize, also taught there. He may still be teaching there. I don't know. I didn't do my homework. And they've had a number of very, very unusual people there in the jazz department. We'll talk about that and get to more of the nitty-gritty about the school. Denton, Texas, is a bit of a, at least it used to be somewhat of an isolated community. Now, it has kind of grown into the metropolitan area and is quite prominent in the music world, even though it's the largest music school. So Grok says, and all of these AI tools that we use. We all know about Indiana University, which is a huge music school and a very renowned one. And Juilliard, Curtis, New England Conservatory, it's on that par. But you don't always hear about Denton. So it's quite a musical center. And I think, their concert hall, the Margot and Bill Winspear Hall, is a wonderful part of this Murchison Performing Arts Center. And here we have the live feed, and we're going to begin pretty soon. You hear the noise or the racket of the orchestra tuning sometimes. We're hearing that. And the audience jibber-jabbing all over the place. It reminds me of pre-concert life. You have these 7 o'clock lecture demonstrations sometimes, or interviews with the soloist. We don't have one tonight, but this is sort of that time period right before the concert when things get going. But in a couple of minutes, we will hear Dina Nesterenko play the Sibelius Violin Concerto with the University of North Texas Concert Orchestra, conducted by Clay Couturiaux. And this is unique, this broadcast, in the sense that the school has just started broadcasting live concerts on their own kind of network, and they were gracious enough to allow virtual concert halls to chime in and bring you this program. So thanks for joining us, and I know that UNT joins me, and the College of Music joins me in thanking you for attending as well. And hopefully this won't be the last time we hear from UNT, and I would like to say that we would love to broadcast their concerts in the future. Texas is sort of, reminds me also, since we're in Texas for this concert, it's quite a musical state, is it not? We have the Van Cliburn competition. There's a big one in San Antonio. There's a big string competition in the state somewhere. I'm not sure, but it's a very famous competitive music place. They do everything in Texas bigger and better. You know that, right? So we're in Texas, Denton, Texas, for this fantastic concert that's about to begin, and it's now 7:30 Central Time, and we should be momentarily seeing the soloist and the music director walk on stage. They'll shake the hand of the concert master or mistress. Now, I do have names of the orchestra members, but I'm not quite seeing them right now. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, we have violinist Polly Klein, Rowan Ingram, Sophie Thiessen, B.B. Tang, Ethan Dunn, Jiwan Lee, Monica Lindbergh. It goes on and on and on. Some of the violin number 2 section, the second violin section, Pablo Cerdas, Marlon Barrios. We have violists John Sharp, Samuel Lee, Anthony Brooks, cellist Claire Cabral, Elise Abbott, Noah Sendier, Jonathan Scoggins, bass players Joe Ferris, Emma Willis, Andrew Lackley, Zachary Seymour, and flutists Josh Diaz, Huilam Mock, and Shane Salinas. Oboe, Taylor Darnell. I'm not mentioning everybody, but it's nice to get some of these names out there. I mean, after all, this is a symphonic concert, and the players in an orchestra, sometimes are referred to as rank and file players, but they're not. I can tell you from touring, some of the biggest virtuosos have come out of orchestras, and you'd be shocked at how some of them warm up in their little green room backstage. You go, whoa, they should be playing the concerto instead of you. There's some fantastic people. Here we go. Oh man, I'm tired. Wow. I was just absolutely on fire. I've never heard anything like that. Listen to that crowd. That's no favoritism there. That's a real reaction. I don't even know what to say. There's nothing you can say. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, she's going to play a transcription of hers. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Listen to this. Unbelievable. Well, I don't know what anyone could possibly say about this performance. I mean, you can't even dignify it with a response. I think I'm going to abandon everything I was just going to say. I had a whole script written out, Let's talk about this performance. I wish I had someone here to, have a little boxing match with, but I dare anybody in the whole world, absolutely dare anybody to even come close to that performance. Now, I told Dina before his broadcast that I would not rant and rave about her playing. But what can you do? What can you say? All you can do is rant, because this was, and I'll tell you why, this was playing that I don't think you'll ever hear again, unless you hear her again play another piece again like that. Or, by the way, the last piece she played is her own transcription of the 24th Caprice of Paganini, and it's 10 times harder than the original. I know, because I've played this piece by Liszt, his version, and I know the piece quite well, and most people do know the piece quite well, so therefore everybody should be right on top of that one. I mean, that was absolutely a stunning display of pure, unadulterated virtuosity combined with a fervor in her music making that I've never heard, never in my life. I mean, there may be people as great as her, but there's nobody greater, in my opinion. She's a real find. Back to the Sibelius. I mean, first of all, this would require, dissertation after dissertation to tear apart, what she did that I've never heard anyone else do. But the fact is, if you know the work, it is practically impossible to play it that way. Because just to play the notes, I mean, I've heard many people play this piece, and I will not say who they were. Some very good performances, some even excellent, even superb, but nothing out of the box like that. Nobody. It was just stunning playing in every way. She understands harmonic intensification, harmonic rhythm, when to leave a harmony, when to enter a harmony, when and how to stay in a harmony. Most importantly, I mean, she could hold something during that Sibelius for forever, and you'd never know that there was another beat or another part or another movement. I mean, just the way she can hold her presence in those harmonies is just extraordinary. I know if Bobby Mann was alive, the first violinist of the founding member of the Juilliard Quartet, who was her mentor, she claims that Bobby, and he was a very close friend of mine, she claims that she learned more from him than anyone. And he saved her playing. I think she saved him more than he saved her. But I mean, this is absolutely stunning playing on the highest level. We could go on and on about it, but I mean, I was just transfixed. I was trying to think of something during the performance, and when you can't think of anything else but the sound you're hearing and the music that you're taking in, and technically, I mean, it's just, this package is complete. I mean, it's beyond complete. So we could rant and rave all day. It was just the greatest performance of the Sibelius and of that Caprice that I've ever heard in my life. And I have heard her play other things, Franck Sonata, and it's all like that. It's the most consistently phenomenal playing I've ever heard in my life. Consistently phenomenal. Okay, I guess enough said, Richie. Let's go on to the next topic. Now, we do many shows here, one of which we just heard. We tried to bring you great orchestral concerts from all corners of the world. We've had the Florence Chamber Orchestra, and we've had the Boulder Symphony. We've had Arapaho. We've had all kinds of people. New York chamber players, Western New York Chamber Orchestra, Orchestra Manhattan, a number of pickup groups, regular Tahoe Philharmonic. We're going to be hearing some very big orchestras on tour here at Price Attractions. We're going to be touring Budapest Philharmonic, the Lviv Philharmonic from Ukraine, and a number of other orchestras, Vienna Festival Orchestra, and we're hopefully going to bring all of these orchestras to bear on this channel, and you will hear them live like you just heard them. So this is really cutting edge stuff. But we have a show that people have been listening to lately, and I happen to be, I don't even know what to say. Maybe I'm the subject of the show. It's called Jack Price is Right. And of course, I'm always right, except when I'm wrong. So, there's that disclaimer. And I think we have a little episode here or something, and you might want to tune in this Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern for our first episode of the new season, second season. It's on doubt. And yes, I'll just leave it at that. Okay, well, short and sweet, right? Okay, so anyway, we do a lot of shows here, the Magnificent Nine, the Beethoven Symphonies, and many other programs. Chris Au hosts all kinds of interviews on music and musicians around the globe. These are short interviews, sometimes not so short. I heard of a 45-minute one the other day of some crazy conductor from Europe. No, he's great. I won't mention his name now that I said he's crazy, but nevertheless, it was 45 minutes. It's not supposed to be. We have all kinds of different things on this channel or on this station or on this feed, whatever you want to call it. But the important thing is virtual concert halls is real TV on the internet. There's no, as you can see, it's quite clear. You can see me clearly, right? This is not PBS where you have, $1 million cameras all over the place. But this is a very unique station that has, I think, pretty much cutting edge material on it. And you can't really find it anywhere else. We have a thing called Orchestra. It's a competition of sorts, more like auditions, very unique. And in my opinion, the way contests and auditions should be run, where you hear from the jury immediately after you play. I mean, right away. They can't wait to spit it out there, And then there, several finalists or what have you are chosen, and they play with world orchestras like Bohuslav Martinu Philharmonic and Orchestra of the Kolarek and National Philharmonic Orchestra of Ukraine, Lviv, and now Kiev. Both of those philharmonics will be involved in Orchestra. The chamber orchestra I mentioned in Florence is involved. The Philippine Philharmonic, the Butler Philharmonic in Ohio, and Paducah Symphony in Kentucky are some of the orchestras. We're not prejudiced against size, shape, or anything. All orchestras are welcome to display their wares on this station. And they engage some of the really spectacular winners that we have. Dina was one of them. Dina Nesterenko played the Beethoven Concerto last year and just stunned everybody. Was really a unique interpretation of that work. Gee, I can't stop talking about her, can I? No, I'm just obsessed. Yeah. So, and then we have Sound Espressivo competition, which is basically the Cole Orchestra thing which combines orchestra and solo pieces. You can audition to play at Carnegie Hall. Of course, Carnegie is a whole different ball of wax, but finalists from that audition will play at Weill Hall for a certain number of minutes, not full recitals, but sort of a gala concert put on by Price Attractions and Sound Espressivo. And I think we have a trailer for the Carnegie Hall auditions coming up.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you.
Okay. Well, that was certainly entertaining, wasn't it? Those are just, I enjoy the music so much on those reels. And a lot of information there for people to absorb and take in, because there's a lot here with virtual concert halls, various projects and programs throughout the year. I think they're pretty much all during the year. The last audition is sometime in June or May, and the Carnegie series goes till almost July 1st every year, and then there's the hiatus till October or November. So it's very, very comprehensive and quite a complete program. There's something for everybody, like the announcer was saying. And here we are back at the North Texas University of North Texas stage, and here comes I believe the concert master or mistress. Can't see actually. And Clay Couturiaux is about to take the stage. He went to L'École de Monteau, and some of his teachers are very good friends: Anshel Brusilov, Neil Gittleman, Carl Topolo, and Harold Farberman, sorry. And I don't know why I said that. He's conducted all over the world. And by the way, he did an excellent job in the Sibelius. Really superb. He was right with Dina Nesterenko the whole way. Very, very excellent performance from the orchestra, too. The orchestra is outstanding. And it is reportedly the largest music school in the country. So here we go. This is Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 4 in F minor in 4 movements. And it was written in 1878, as the Marquis said. It's a typical, allegro, scherzo, slow movement, and then finale. And Clay will be on stage soon to take over the podium. But it's fantastic playing. Sounds like a major, major orchestra. What a beautiful hall, too. Fantastic. Well, that was first rate. I mean, that's the only thing they could have followed up the with the Sibelius is an incredible Tchaikovsky fourth. Everything was right. The balance was perfect. I mean, this sounded like a major orchestra. They should go to Carnegie Hall for sure, and other halls. They should do a world tour. Now I know why that school is so prominent because they really stand for excellence. I just don't think you can get better players. I thought it was fantastic. Okay, maybe Curtis. I don't know. But the Curtis Orchestra is supposed to be spectacular. I've actually never heard them. But Couturiaux, Maestro Couturiaux is a terrific talent. I really loved his kind of understated quality in his body English, his body language, because he let the music speak. I mean, it's just as exciting as watching someone jump up and down there, you know? It just shows you it's musically what matters. He had all the right gestures to get the most out of his musicians. And yeah, I think he's a major talent, very outstanding talent. He gets the most out of his orchestra. He understands all the basic elements. Beautiful. Just the balance was incredible. I was listening very carefully to the balance between sections. You know, that's the deathbed of most conductors. They can't hear, you know, it's just the brass is too loud. This is too loud. The violins are drowned out, but this was just crystal clear. And you've got to give credit to the crew that put this production on their side of the fence. Not to mention our crew, by the way. I want to thank Kiki and Apology and all the people that helped bring you this program. There's a long list. Frane, Igor, Fedor, Ante, Chris, James, Jennifer. I don't know all the last names because it took me a while just to get those out. But yeah, we have a great crew, and we have a great group of collaborators from Vimeo and YouTube and Classical Academy in Switzerland and Colburn School and Cicerone and all kinds of orchestras, rehearsal studios, you name it. Like just about every possible collaborator is here. Schools like Fredonia, LA Opera, Colburn School I mentioned, Maestro Online, very very good online service, and we're getting more and more orchestras as time goes on, and you can see all of our programs on all the major platforms. Of course, YouTube is the easiest. I guess you can just put us into YouTube and just about get anything you want. There have been some fantastic performances this year in Guayaquil and Lviv. We have that coming up, a broadcast, I think, the delayed broadcast of Gershwin F major concerto, among other things. So just stay tuned here daily. There are thousands of hours, it seems, of material that should be very enjoyable for the listening audience. And classical music is, or continuing music, or serious music is definitely continuing here. I can't speak about it, universally. I don't know how long this will last, but support your local orchestra, support the artists. They work hard. You can't help but think how many hours went into that Sibelius. Despite her phenomenal talent, Dina Nesterenko must be a very focused worker. And the same goes for Couturiaux. Very, very fine performance. I'm sure Brusilov would have been proud of him. Anyway, that's about it from here in wherever we are. We're all over the place. Right now, I'm in Folsom, California, and we have people in Washington and Serbia and all over the place. So take care, have a great week, and stay tuned for more music here on Virtual Concert Halls.